It is now time to talk to Suzanne Levine, Executive Director for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, who works with the community and businesses to make sure they're connecting with chamber members and other businesses. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Suzanne.
Thank you for having me.
Suzanne, let's start off with learning a little bit about you and your journey. Can you tell us what your career path looked like before you started working in the chamber?
Well, I am the queen of reinvention. So I basically started out in radio. I was a late night talk show radio host for WRAF, baby. And it was a pretty exciting, fun job for a young person, although it was from 1 to 5 in the morning. So you can imagine it's kind of disruptive for your life a little bit, but it was a very exciting time. And then from there, I transitioned to television. And in fact, my humble roots are in cable. At the time, we were producing a show that was at Continental Cablevision, but was broadcast on PBS. It was a national teen show called Club Connect. And that was a very exciting time because as a program producer, I was in charge of just about everything, the development of the idea, writing the scripts, getting the crew together, sitting with the editor, getting music, and putting an entire show together. In fact, I won oh my God, my brain, sorry. Not only a couple of local Emmys, but I also won a national gold medal at the New York International Film Festival for that show. And then when we lost our funding at PBS, I transitioned to work for WXYZ Channel 7 for many years, doing just about everything, writing promos, doing Dream Cruise, auto show. So it was pretty exciting. And then in 2008, 2009, when the auto industry kind of crashed, we lost a lot of the money to do these special projects. So I started looking around to transition my career a little bit. And I taught college for a while, but it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be. And on a whim, I saw a job opening for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. And not even understanding what a Chamber of Commerce does, but did a lot of research and somehow was able to convince them that I could do the job. And here I am today.
Suzanne, you talked a lot about being in radio and cable and TV production. How do you think these past experiences have helped you in preparation for your current role?
Well, as a TV producer, as some people may know, you're in charge of putting everything together. So you have to be able to connect the dots and be resourceful. In fact, one of the stories I often tell is my first gig, my live gig. It was Smokers versus Non-Smokers. This was airing on PBS for a show called Speak Out. And the woman that was my smoking advocate said, call me an hour before the show to remind me I work right around the corner. So I called her and they said, oh, Sharon, she won't be there. She died of a heart attack. And there's nothing in college that tells you what to do when your guest dies before show 101. So suddenly I'm making phone calls, trying to get another guest, and the audience, it was a live audience, is pouring in. And it just turns out that one of my camera guys was probably the most obnoxious smoker on the planet. And so he was my guest. I ran camera. And actually, it was a very successful show because he was, such a pro-smoking advocate, was blowing smoke into the audience faces. Excuse me. So, see the smoke alone, just talking about it. And it was a great show.
Suzanne.
So it's that kind of thing, connecting the dots.
Suzanne, looking back at your time with the radio stations and the PBS, do you have a fond memory, one of your favorite memories, either an exciting show or something that was the most impactful to work on there?
I think what was so impactful was some of the stories that we told, and knowing that maybe we made a difference in someone's life, a story that you told. We did something on this homeless person that was given a second chance, and how he became so successful because people believed believed in him and helped him. So there were those kind of stories. Most of my stories are things that crashed. And then on the spot, I had to kind of, think on my feet and save them. One of my stories is at the time we were doing the auto show at the fire station. It was a live show, and you should never really believe people back in the newsroom when they tell you something is set up. But, we were there, and it was Mayor Kilpatrick was supposed to do a bar scene with Darren McCarthy, and that's how we were opening the show. And here it is, 5 to 8, no mayor. 3 to 8, no mayor. Finally, he walks in with his entourage, and his PR person said, "Nah, I don't think he's going to do it." And I hear them laughing in the headset, in the newsroom, because they knew no one had set this up. And it just turns out that someone I had helped during the auto show said, "I'm really good friends with the mayor," and he set it up, and the show went live at 8 o'clock. So it's always those kind of, you have to think on your feet. And I think these are just great skill sets that have helped me in my career at the chamber, trying to figure out how to connect people, how if things go wrong, you have to have a plan B, C, and D. And I think, especially during the pandemic, it has served me particularly well, because we know that you can make plans all you want, but we know that kind of life in the pandemic is going to change that on a dime.
Suzanne, as we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us, especially headed into 2022? As the executive director for the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, we touched a little bit on your past career, but for this year, is there anything that you wanted to share with us for the audience here on the Splash Live?
I think my career sort of is a template for other people, that, you need to really be able to be adaptive and reinvent and kind of think, I hate that word, outside the box, but you have to kind of, make sure that whatever you're thinking, there is some sort of plan B or C or D, and never be afraid to try something new, because it could be the thing that sparks not only your imagination, but gets you, the business that you want.
Well, Suzanne, it's always a pleasure having you on Friday mornings. Thank you so much for taking the time.
And thank you so much again, Maddie. You know, as being a talk show host, how sometimes things crash at the last minute, and you just have to adapt and move on.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.